Hey Massey family, I am back again with our Golden Massey series, and today I'm going to be interviewing actually my father, James Massey Jr. He is a descendant of the Tony Massey branch, and that is one of the brothers. If you watch the video, you know that the brothers are Tony, Burl, Pete Ellis, Jimmy Ellis, and then Isabella is the daughter. So let's get started with some of these questions. How you doing, Dad?
Well, I'm doing fine. Just want to say hello to the Massey family.
All right. So we're going to start with a few of these questions. Tell us a little bit about where you were born, and tell us about when you grew up. What was it like?
I'm James D. Massey Jr., James D. Massey Jr. I'm 70 years of age and 6 months and about 4 days, now 4 days. And my children's Cassandra, Christine, and Sarah Massey. I was born in Gordon, Georgia. And when I was a little boy, there was a lot of things that were going on. It was Gordon was really a rough place at that time, even though it was a small community. And what I saw and what I experienced was a lot of fighting. And we lived right below a cafe, right on the side of it, right below it. And as a little boy, I recall my mother used to always have to call us in the house because someone was up there at the cafe fighting and shooting and killing. And that's basically, that was a horrible time, but I remember that distinctly as a little boy. And we went to church. Most of the Sundays, we didn't have a full 4 and 5 Sunday day churches, and just only went to church on the second Sunday, and that was at St. John's CME Church. And my mother would always take all of us. It was 9 in the family, so we'd be just like little bitties and chickens coming down the road behind my mother, because my father was a preacher and he would be going on somewhere to the other churches, and so we would all be behind her, almost in a line going towards St. John every Sunday, second Sunday. And we enjoyed it, and she got us prepped up. I used to have my little black suit on that came up to my knees almost, and my sisters and all, they had their little outfits on. We would go to St. John and she'd tell us to sit down and be quiet, and that we did. So that's basically what I remember, as a child. Oh, it was 9 of us, and up until this date, I can't see how 9 people could have lived in a 2 bedrooms, and they were small bedrooms, and 1 living room and a little small kitchen and dining room where we all would sit around the table, and we would all have prayer and say our little grace together. And I recall one of my brothers saying, after we just wept and all that, and one of my brothers, I guess he was kind of hungry that day, and we got to him, he said, "Good bread, good meat, good Lord, let's eat." And we all just laughed at the table. We was all just laughing at him. That's all he said. Around the table, we had a table big enough for us to get around. Oh goodness. we had my oldest sister was Willie Carey, and my next oldest was Bill Frank Massey, and the next oldest was Virginia um, Massey, and then Eleanora, and myself, and then Gloria, and Ada, Ellie, and Ada, and then we had Oscar.
Oscar, okay. Yeah, it's my aunts and uncles.
Well, one of the things that I can recall, is that because our house was so small, we knew about what time it was for us to go to bed, so we would all be getting in position so we could jump and dive for the bed. Because once we dive for the bed, whosoever got there first was the one who slept in the bed. And so we would be diving for the bed. And my mama would have to come in with a belt, because some of us in there crying to I was in the bed first.
So it was a fight for the bed, huh?
Yeah, Lord. And some would sleep at the top of the bed, some would sleep at the foot of the bed, some would sleep on the side of the bed. And with the little front room we had, some would try to get in there and sleep on the sofa, but we would be in position almost to die for that bed. So it was easy for us to come in almost before night because we were getting ourselves positioned.
You wanted to be in bed.
One of my favorite songs was Otis Redding, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. And
okay.
I used to try to sing like Otis Redding, sing that song. I tried to make my voice sound like him, but even though I couldn't at that time, and we would oftentimes watch movies. My favorite movie was The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, it sure is.
I still love my own movie today,
Yes, you do. You got me having my children watch it because you love it so much. Your favorite thing to eat?
Well, that was banana pudding. I love myself some banana pudding, and my mother could cook. She was a good cook, and she always would cook banana pudding, and so I guess that's why, I used to always, I don't eat as much as today, but I always will worry my wife about eating banana pudding, fixing some banana pudding.
Yeah, it's a good treat. It is. I know they don't make it like they do down south up here. I don't even ask for it if I see it somewhere up here.
Well, it took Alice a little time, to learn how to really make it, like it's supposed to be made. But she came around to it, and she really got to making that banana pudding.
Oh, no. Let's see. You were talking about your mother, and what do you remember, if anything at all, about your grandparents? So your grandfather was Tony, is that right?
That's right, Tony.
Okay, and then...
And I don't remember anything about my grandparents. I guess I was a little bit too young. They might have all died before I... anything about my grandparents.
Okay. Where and how did you meet Miss Alice Massey?
Well, I met her in Augusta, Georgia. I was at Payne College, and I met my wife there in Augusta, and that's where we were married at, down in Augusta in the chapel on the military base, Fort Gordon. We was married on the military base, and I can recall, getting married. It was rough it was rough getting married because I was running so, and I can recall I was a little late trying to get up to the wedding, and can you believe I think I was doing 75 and 80 on a military base. I was trying to get there, and I guess the MP just stretched their head and said, you know, I don't believe what I just saw. Because when I went by the headquarters at the MP's station, it was a car sitting out there, and they would turn right toward the road, and they just looked at it when I went by, boom. And I guess they just, you know, we're not gonna even move. I don't believe what I just saw. I was looking for them to come up, you know, get behind me, run me down, but they didn't move. And I went on in the chapel. That's where we were married at. Mm-hmm. Basically, that's what I can recall about my wife. When I met her, she was very talented and she was quiet, quiet type person. Mm-hmm. But you know, that's what we met at.
Okay, that's a good story.
I worked at the mine, you know, the clay mine in Gordon, and that was my first job. I can recall my uncle on my mother's side of the family, though, but he gave me the secret of finding the jobs. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, you got to get up out that bed and be standing out there in front of the employment office. Mm-hmm. And when the boss man come up, he gonna see you stand out there, and you ask him, so do y'all have any work to do? And so I did that for about 3 days. He would be there, and I would beat him there, just like my uncle said, you know, be there for the early bird catches the worm. He would say, I'll never forget that little terminal. And I would be standing there when the boss man would go by, and I said, Mr. Scott, you all hiring today? He, no, not today. And then the next day I said, Mr. Scott, you all hiring today? Mm-hmm. No, not today. Come on back tomorrow. See, he was testing me out then. Mm-hmm. And so sure enough, when I came back there around that third day, I said, you all hiring today? He, well, come on in. Let me see what we got. And so that's when I first started. I was hired at the clay mine, they call it, you know, and used to call it the chalk mine because, you know, that's where that rich chalk, white chalk, you know, and it goes all over the world. People making dishes and everything out of it, and that's where I got when I received my first job, and it was rough on that job. But I won't try to go through that long story, you know, about some of the things that happened on the job. But that's where I received my first employment at the clay mine, and they paid pretty good, you know, at that time. I was a beginner. Mm-hmm. And but they pay. What did I do? Well, at the clay mine, you know, they would have bags. They would put that clay in a bag. They had big machines up there, and that clay would be coming in there in those bags, and we would stand on a belt line, and we had to take those bags off that belt line and put them in on pallets. They call them. You know, we put them on pallets and stack them up, you know, 50 pounds, 100-pound bags, and we had to sling them. You know, they had about 4 or 5 of those things on the line. You know, you have to get them wherever the packer you was standing at. You know, that's where you got your bags, and you had to put them on there, and then, you know, those things were put into those car boxes. They call them big trains. Mm-hmm. You know, would come in and we would have to fill up those car boxes with those bags, and they would pull out and go to New York, go wherever they had to go, you know, as far as the car box would go in this country and out of the country or whatever. I guess they would ship them out of the country. I didn't have no idea what they would be doing with them, you know, other than in the country. Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you got that job?
Probably around about 17 or 18.
Okay.
17 or 18. I didn't stay on the job because I had my mind on going to college, and that's when I, so I went to him. And then the fact is, if I'm, just being honest with you, fella and I, we got to fighting on the job. He and I got to fighting on the job, and the man, see, they had pulled a big trick on me, and told me they had me running around there, knowing that I'm new, and he was calling about the car box stretcher, those trains, I didn't know what they were talking about, go up there and tell what's his name to send the car box stretcher. And I'm running up there and to the supervisor. I said, so-and-so said he needed the car box stretcher. He said, what? I said, he need the car box stretcher, what? He said, I think they pulling your leg. And so, and I went back down there, and told him, I said, Mr. So-and-so said there ain't no such thing in no car box stretcher. And they all just fell out on the floor. They were just laughing. And so me and the fella got to fighting, and then they called us to the office because he had a family, because he had a family, and I know I was getting ready to try to go to college, I just went on and told the supervisor, I said, no, he wasn't him. It's all my fault. I said, it was all my fault. I want to start the fight because I knew I was going to go anyway. We're going to have to let you go. He let me go, but I was getting ready to go on to school about to make 1 week or so anyway. I didn't want to see the man lose his job, because he was standing over there looking so scared and everything. I knew he had to take care of his family.
Right.
But that's that first job that I got.
Okay.
I think my biggest or greatest influence was my father. My father was so talented. He was so talented. He was a carpenter. He was a barber. He was an electrician. He used to be a mason. He could lay bricks and all like that. And he was just a talented man, and he showed movies out in the community for the whole community. And that was one of my most favorite events in the family, to be able every Saturday evening around about 5 or 6 o'clock, he would have that movie, but I would be the first one to see what was going to be shown to the community. And so, cause he would go out there and give it a try run, and I would be sitting there watching it. And so around about 5 or 6 o'clock, everybody come from everywhere, it wasn't but one dime, to see, to get in. Me and his son, I didn't have to pay anything. I was already sitting there.
Right.
So I enjoyed me of telling some of the other people, what he finna do? He gonna shoot him. That man, that cowboy finna shoot him. I was telling them the movie because I had already seen the movie. Because my father, like he said, he gave it a try run, and I would be in there every time watching it. So that was, I think he was very talented and trying to teach me how to be a carpenter, and all that, bring me a number 6 bolt and bring me a number 2 nail and all that, bring some of that roofing in. Don't try to take the whole pipe. My father used to build homes, he and some other people, and so he was very talented. So I think that I was very much influenced by him and the things that I saw that he could do, He had a barber shop downtown. Downtown, Gordon, he the only black man down there, with a barber shop, and cutting people hair. I can tell you a little funny something about that though, because one time my father was, all these jobs he's trying to do, and he got sleep, and he was cutting this man's hair. I was right there looking at him, used to watch him cut hair. And he cut the man's hair and had the clippers to go right down the center of the man's head. He done went to sleep. He done gone to sleep, and the man said that looked like the clippers just done dropped him, and he going back with the clippers, and it's right down the center of the man's hair. That man got mad at that. I won't come back here no more.
I bet he
They had to straighten that up, He had to try to straighten it up, but it was too low for him to straighten up, so he had to cut the rest of the hair down to where
Mm-hmm.
He done went to sleep and the clippers just going from front to back, all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never get the man snatched his head. You, hey man.
Oh.
They had to try to correct that, so he had a low haircut, A lot of times people think these low haircuts are something new. No, they're not.
Yeah,
He used to cut all my hair off.
I'm sure he got that one for free.
Yeah. He didn't pay him, I know that.
Oh, boy.
They had just let him went on out and got the naked man in the chair.
That's what he did. I've seen some bad fights over that there.
Yeah.
Let me see. What life advice would you like? I know I've got plenty written down things that you've kind of told us over the years that have been helpful, but as far as like the whole Massey family, what life advice would you like to pass on to others?
Well, it's basically two things. I'm gonna wrap it up in two things, really. One of the things that we used to, it was a song saying, "You can make it if you try."
Mm-hmm.
And believe, and I know as a fact from experience that a person can make it if they try. If a person get complacent and because they can't find a job, can't do this or can't do that, don't say like they don't know this, I don't know how to do this, I don't know that, that's where they're going to be left at. But if they continue to try, don't stop, you can make it if you try. That's what I just feel that's going to, And then the other one is that if you serve God and love God with all your heart, you're gonna make it in life.
Okay, that's good advice to pass down. It really is. What does being a Massey mean to you? So the name Massey, when you hear about Massey family, Massey people, what does Massey mean to you?
Well, it seemed like to me that the ones that I knew, I didn't get a chance to meet my father, brothers or sisters. I only met Elmira, and I knew my sister, the one Theo lived in New York, and I knew my Uncle Klein Massey, and Chunk, the one they call it Frank, the Chunk, the one they call Frank lived in. But from looking at those persons, I saw that the Masses, they seem like they would have a sense of pride. They have a sense of not. They're gonna have. I can. Down in Savannah, my Uncle Klein, he was very successful in his business, and the way he would talk, he would talk as if he had gone to school all of his life. And then I look at my aunt, Elmira, she had a beauty saloon out there, right in her yard. It's out there still today, and people all over Gordon and Milledgeville, Macon, everywhere will come there for them to do their hair, it's a beauty shop. And you look at my father, seemed like they just had a sense of pride, they way back, I listened to some stories my father told me about the way they were, and when it wasn't popular in those days, my father said he had some brothers that were right up in those stores, downtown, on a horse, and they could have easily been lynched, I guess, for that. But he had his brothers and all get on the horse and ride all up in the man's store, to shop, and things like that. And they just they just wasn't going to accept nobody, putting them down, or, nothing like that. They just had it seemed like to me, just being, and I've seen other Masses, it seemed like that's part of who they are, they got a sense of pride,
Mm-hmm.
about themselves. And that's what one of the things that I really like. They're determined, look like to have. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting at. Like they were just determined to have something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, we would the church would be the number one thing that we would do because of my career or my profession. The church would be the number one thing that we did. You can reconcile with that,
Mm-hmm.
by having to go to church and all. And most of the time it wasn't no one Sunday, two Sunday church. It was we had to go to church. You all had to go to church as well, every Sunday. So that was one of the things that I think that
Mm-hmm.
that would do. And then we would love to watch movies, watch movies, and that was another thing that we as a family would love to do. And then the other thing is, well, I don't know whether you remember it or not, but I used to tell those fake stories, little bedtime stories, them little
It
fake
was.
bedtime stories, and
Uh-huh.
make them up, and that would be so interesting because, when I would be telling y'all, yep, and the duck ran, and the duck just was running, and the duck said, "Why are you following me?" Like that. And sometimes I end the story because y'all be about asleep, but then that next night, you all say, "Oh, what happened to the duck?"
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having to go back, to try to see what did happen to the duck. And I'll make up something else. Now I'll say, by that time, it was somebody came out the door and said, "Duck, you better let them children alone." Stuff like that. I
Right.
would just make it good. Y'all would enjoy those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that was the iPhone.
The iPhone? Okay.
I mean, it's the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and that's uh uh that's still amazing to me, not because I got it a little bit too late, but it's amazing to be able to see how we could how people can communicate
Mm-hmm.
and the things that you can find. And is that phone is just,
All right.
yeah, I can't hang with those phones. And particularly if I'm gonna get in touch with anybody, but basically all I'm gonna be able to do is call, and I might text them. I know how to text a little bit now and all like that, but otherwise uh I just haven't taken the time out to try to learn more about the phones. I just, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that stuff, I just got a big iPhone and all that stuff on there I haven't seen. I don't know what any of it is,
Mm-hmm.
Harley. Well, I'm thankful for being married, for 48 years and raising my family right. I just thank God for that. Um, and so we feel like we have accomplished much, at least with the three of you all, my three daughters, because whatever y'all do in life, that's on you all now, because I know that it couldn't be said that, well, they just didn't raise those children's right, but
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very sure that that wouldn't be true, because we did. Um, so I just thank God for that, and I just want the family to continue to hold on, and let's look forward to our next family reunion and meeting one another, and make sure that we have understanding with whatever we are doing. We are trying to get together. Families from all over the country. We are
Mm-hmm.
trying to get together. So if you see anything that might not look right, or somebody say something that might not seem right and all that, let's not get angry and all that, because we are just trying to piece it together and make it through to get
Mm-hmm.
our families together. Because that's exactly what happened, you know, way back then. Way back then, our families was rooted out of many. The family was rooted out of the South and went up North and West, East and West, and And so there's still more family out there that we just not able to, we don't know who they are, where they are and all like that. But let's continue to try to be open with one another and to love one another, because even as I have on my father's side, it was around about 12 of them, I believe, 12 or 14, I think about 12, all of my uncles and aunts, mother and fathers and everybody, on those lines on my mother's side and uncle side, all of those persons going on now. But they still left those behind, and let's continue to try to seek to find our families who know that they got some family somewhere, but they don't know how to get in touch. So let us, as a family, try to seek to find who they are and to just love one another.
Okay, very good. What
And I just wanted to mention too, Sandra, that we did have a sister, Carolyn Norwood, Carolyn. She's our, but the people say, we use the term half sisters and all like that. But what the point is that she's our sister,
Okay. Here, I want to ask you one more question, Dad. So why were you so very persistent all these years in making sure you kept track of the family names and, who belonged to who, and what made you so persistent to continue finding our family history out?
Well, Sandra, I really don't, I can't really explain that why. And I know that you're going to have, each family will have somebody there that's just seem like they are interested in family. Seem like they're just concerned about family. And I don't know why that was in me. So, and so I started inquiring, about family, and who are, other brothers and sisters of my father's and all like that, and so a lot of people that he began to share something with me, and I actually got a pen and some paper and began to sit down. And how sometimes people can get uneasy, but we done sat down an hour. He done told me as much as he could tell me, like, for example, we got Earl Solomon living situated up there. I got the names and that. Me that went up north and some of them down Florida and everything. And so I was just so interested in it. And by me, like I said, by me being in the family, the Miller person, four younger sisters and brothers and 4 older sisters and brothers, and I'm right in the middle. And I'm saying, look like I'm just very interested in family for some reason, how that made me interested, but I couldn't tell you, but I am, I'm very interested. I had, some to say, well, I don't need no more cousins now. You got cousins like that, you got cousins like that, and they're just not look like interested in it. But anybody I meet and anybody I see, that I think might, because I even stop people on the street, in the stores and all like that. I said, sir, what's your last name? I said, you don't have no people from Wickerson County, stuff like that, because they look like it. So, the favor, by the nose and the lips and eyes and all like that, I said, there got to be some of our folks there. And I have been able to find that there are some, that was actually kin to us. And then most of them, they said, no, I don't know nobody. But that this is so important to try to recognize your family. It's so important.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on and doing this for the family. And I'm grateful that we can start creating these memories, and hopefully they will go down in history, and other in the future generations can look back and listen to all the good advice that you gave and hear some of the lessons of how our family grew up and the things that they did. So thank you so much for coming on, Dad. I really appreciate it.